You probably don't even realize, but your daily routine suffocates your true potential. And in that way, you join life and freedom. Let me share how I broke out to finally live free. It's not just you, we are all born into a prison of social conformity. During our formative years, our survival impulse and bonding with our parents by conforming to their social norms, routines, and beliefs and making them our own, which is a good thing. After all, we want to survive. We wouldn't make it on our own at that early age. However, in a healthy individuation, we would grow up and leave the conformity prison and step into freedom, our individuality. That's not common sense. Many believe they are free, but don't live free. Goethe was blunt. None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. That's what he wrote. Instead, most conform to norms, beliefs, routines, and ideals that sooner or later make them sick because they don't live their own lives, but a routine. And many norms and beliefs are pathological or simply redundant. This conformism on autopilot feeds our bureaucratic and normopathic society. It's very easy to prove. Look at public debt, health, and growing regulations. You might wonder, what's normopathic? Psychoanalyst Joyce McDougall wrote, it's the pathological pursuit of conformity and societal acceptance at the expense of individuality. So like the frog that gradually boils to death, which was an actual experiment in the 19th century, many conform to routines that slowly make them sick, because that's normal in a society that has forgotten to live free with common sense, and instead is addicted to control through routines. You can only leave prison if you know you are in it. And that was me. I can remember that day in April 2019, like no other. From one day to the other, I woke up to the force I had called my life. I had denied myself and blindly conformed to ideals, rules, and peer pressure. I chased success, performance, money, fitness, and obedience to an exploitative system. I had lived a lie. I hated it. And suddenly I realized I was lost in prison. And that day I shook free my desire for freedom. A few days later, I resigned from a 14-year investment banking career. And when I handed in my resignation, I was shaking, afraid, anxious. I had no clue where my path would lead me. I just knew I wanted to live free. Now, most people are not aware of that driving force to conform. I wasn't. And that makes total sense. After all, it's unconscious. Hence Goethe's quote. And the unconscious thinking is something along the lines of, if I don't conform, I'll die, be expelled, starve to death, be ridiculed. And that fear suppresses your individuality. Like mine. You don't freely say what you want, do what you want, think what you want, when you want, but conform. And this is all happening beneath the surface. And how you might experience it either inwards, in feeling obligated to be different than you are. And so you might think you should change how you are. You should be good, nice, successful, helpful, brave, smart, perfect, thin, muscular, spiritual, productive, free, grateful, whatever. And so you try to improve yourself. And you might use affirmations, do healing work, spiritual work, brain rewiring, belief work, etc. But no matter the work, it's never enough. And the result, insecurity, heaviness, or pressure, remains no matter what you do. Chronic stress. And the other way you might experience that is outwards, feeling obligated to do more stuff. And you think you should accomplish more outside results. You should have more money, success, followers, better karma, should have more security, better help more people. You should change the system, find more purpose, or convert others to the right beliefs. And so you work hard to achieve more. But the thing is, even if you create what you planned, it's not enough. And the results here as well: overwhelm, frustration, lack of time, chronic stress. Why? Because the underlying motivation is should. And the big fallacy, how it is, how you are, is not okay. You or your circumstances should be different. That's the wrong thinking. And the consequence, you resist the present moment as it is. And so if that sounds all a little bit abstract, let's make it personal and see how that relates to you. Simply take a moment and take a piece of paper and write down as honestly as you can and answer the following two questions. And the first one is, how do you describe yourself to yourself? For example, who are you? What makes you distinct? What characteristics or qualities or lack thereof define you? And so just take a moment, pause this video and answer it. Great. The second question is, how do you think you should be? For example, what routines, ideals, traits, actions, and results should you have or accomplish? Pause this video again and answer this question. Great. These questions require intellectual honesty. And if you really dig into them, most probably the answers to 1 and 2 will be quite different. And that causes stress because you should be different from how you are. And that's the definition of suffering. And the chronic stress formula with 100% success. Guarantee. If you're stressed, that's going on every single time. How you are is different than how you should be. How it is different than how it should be. And that's the prison of conformity. There is no way out. And that was my experience for years. I worked on a trading floor with a few hundred colleagues. I couldn't name one fulfilled person. Many complained openly about their job, but nobody changed. Everybody kept simply doing what I did, including me. My inner mantra, I should be happy. It was insane. And I was wrong. And of course, I was kidding. There's a way out. It's realizing the subtle but profound difference between should and want. Should is action out of obligation. You have no choice. You must. And that always results in prison within a hedonistic society dedicated to buying things you don't need with money you don't have to impress people you don't like. That's a quote of a past podcast guest. And that's very different to want, because want is action out of freedom. You have a choice, you can do it or not. And the result is true freedom. First inside, and then more and more outside. You might wonder, how do you do that? It's very simple. Letting go of conformity by letting go of all shoulds. Then you become present to what is inner freedom. Is unconditional and eternal. It's guaranteed right here, right now. You can't earn it, deserve it, produce it, control it. You can only recognize it as something that is eternally here. All the great sages point to it. Everybody has it already. Few recognize it. Many search for it on the outside. It should be different than it is the thinking. And once you realize that, all shoulds crumble. And that's exactly what happened to me. Suddenly it seemed insane to lock me in a job I didn't like. Spend 11 hours daily in an uncaring environment and trade my soul for a few numbers on my bank account. The epiphany, I didn't need to do any of that. And I stopped and came home, back to myself. And that was blissful. Goethe described it beautifully. The most beautiful homecoming is to return to oneself. And what remains without shoulds is simply you, your heart and your wants. Following them, despite your circumstances, leads step by step to outer freedom. From how you are to what you want to be, from how it is to what you want to do. And that was my experiment. First, to figure out what I wanted, which took a while because I had buried that deep under a gazillion shoulds, to then see what happens when I follow my heart and wants. And it led me to discover a whole different paradigm in life and a life experience beyond my wildest imagination. While not guaranteed, everyone can create outer freedom along the continuum of freedom to do what you love, freedom to be where you love, freedom to be and work with whom you love, freedom to do things when you love, freedom to do things how you love. At the core of all is recognizing who you truly are. It's not the shoulds. And that's what you're here for, your self-actualization, to be yourself. And what started as an experiment led me to, first of all, ditching routine, and then launching a podcast, creating a coaching business, building a family, moving to Mexico, working with the sweetest people, interviewing the brightest minds, leading journeys into the Amazon, and upgrading my office. And I wouldn't trade it back. So why do I share this? Of course, I'm happy about it, but I'm not special. I simply let go of my shoulds and followed my wants. And so can you, if you want. In my upcoming free webinar, I will support you with that and share the blueprint to unlock your creative power and freedom so that you can experience a life with joy, presence, and purpose. Click on the link below to sign up and see you there to your freedom.